Welcome to EnvironMental with Dandelion. This is our podcast where we deep dive into issues around sustainability. We are your hosts and the founders of Dandelion Branding. I'm Court. And this is Ob. We have 2 episodes every month. One is an overview of sustainability topics like this one, and one where we bring on a guest and chat how they are fighting for the climate. So if you are into inspiring sustainability stories, then definitely subscribe to our channel and join us. In this episode, we are sharing some rapid fire good news on deep sea mining bans, a climate change Bechdel test, and how the current US administration's position on climate change is actually backfiring. Plus, we'll have some news on good old government funded gaslighting, as well as news on robot bees. Stay tuned.
Time for fast good news because everyone deserves fast good news. Our friend Farah over at The Ocean and Us sent us the change.org update that Portugal said no to deep sea mining off of its shores with a 25-year moratorium. But there are a lot of shores, so make sure you sign the petition down in our show notes to keep up that momentum. And speaking of the ocean, this one made the Oak Bay news when a Victoria company called Ocean Diagnostic made a robot that collects DNA from deep within the ocean, giving the world the data we need to combat harmful ocean practices like deep sea mining. Now, we believe that the first step to change is information. And according to Variety, there is officially a climate change Bechdel test. Now, if the Bechdel test asks, are there 2 women in the same scene, and can they talk to each other without discussing a man, the climate change reality check developed by Good Energy asks, does the story reflect the fact that climate change exists? And is there at least one character that is aware of the climate change? And finally, in politics, both the Wall Street Journal and The Guardian are asking, is 47's bullshit backfiring? Climate accountability, business donations, and super funds like the New York one we covered in last month's episode are popping up all over the states. Vermont, New York, Maryland, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, California, Minnesota, and Oregon at least are all considering building their own laws. So this is your reminder that we can do it when we do it together. And that's the fast good news.
Nice. So the other states are holding climate.
Yeah, so they're creating bills like the Superfund in New York that we talked about last month. They are starting their own bills that hold polluters accountable for their pollution.
I haven't heard anything about that at all. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, both the Wall Street Journal and The Guardian were asking if 47's new, crazy executive orders are actually backfiring and making climate accountability bigger, because businesses are doubling down, their donors are coming out of the woodwork, and these super funds bills are starting to pop up more and more. And our friend Maya over at the Green Amendments is seeing more activity as well, which is really cool. We should put Green Amendments in our show notes too.
Yeah, I've been seeing that they've been more active in another state more recently. It's exciting to see that more and more states are just taking it on to actually codify that into law to protect the environment.
Yeah,
and that's awesome.
I think that the Superfund bills will do better in states that have a constitutional amendment for a safe environment for their citizens.
Right, because then you have probable cause essentially that company is doing something to harm society as it's been established, right? If you're saying that people are entitled to and it's a right to have clean air and water, and then any company that's infringing on that makes sense to me. Yeah,
I think that's pretty cool.
Wow. Holy moly. Yeah. There's a lot going on these days.
Yeah. It was actually kind of hard to find good news to share, if I'm honest. There's a lot of news out there, and the good ones get buried.
Yeah. People got to be realistic. We're in, very crazy times. I don't even know.
Yeah, it's a really crazy time. We learned about a secret Monsanto society. These are the things that we know exist, but like when they come out, I still feel angry and shocked for some reason. I don't even know how to get into this one. I guess
I know it's a weird.
It's really weird, and it comes out of Guardian's reporting. Now, one reason why I really like the Guardian, and I think you do too. We read it, we quote it a lot in these shows. Is because they really publicly and openly divested from fossil fuels and other lobbyist backers so that they could do their own actual reporting. And last year they were doing an investigative report and they uncovered V-Fluence.
Yeah. Which had you heard of this V-Fluence at all before?
No.
Yeah.
No. Maybe no. Yeah.
It sounds familiar, but it's also sort of in the realm of a lot of other things that we hear about. So I don't know. Yeah. From these articles, essentially, it was like a network, a private network, sort of a list.
Yeah. It's like a social media website, a private social media network, but it was made by the US government and headed by the Monsanto people. And it held this is a quote, wide range of personal information about hundreds of individuals from around the world who were deemed a threat to industry interests. Anybody that is anti-pesticides or like just pro-regenerative agriculture, like anybody that had ever spoken out against Monsanto, bitch, I'm on this list. Like, we both are probably on this list. We've probably been on it for a long time.
Years. Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm not surprised that it exists, right? Like, I feel like big companies like this, it is in their best interest to know that there are organizations and things that are fighting against them. So of course they're going to have that data, but I think the way in which it was positioned here is kind of the scary part, where they're like profiling these individual activists or just people that have this set of beliefs, and it's sort of like, okay, what was the next step? Like, what was their goal with it? What were they gonna actually do? And
From what I've read is that the goal of the site was to get a network together to, this is another quote, downplay pesticide dangers, discredit opponents, and undermine international policymaking. Awesome.
So it's just it's like sabotaging movements before they can even begin, really.
Yeah. There is this thing that humans do that I have been reading about recently, and I'm sorry, I don't know what it's called, but it's when we learn that something is true, we start to feel like everything is true. So if we don't like someone's political standing, we decide that we don't like anything about that person. If we don't like pesticides, then we don't like anybody that uses pesticides. Like, it's just kind of part of human nature. It allows us to create us versus them mentalities. And when you find out that stuff like this is true, these like government funded secret societies, it is easy to go, oh shit, every conspiracy is true. I can see how people can like easily go down this path of like, yeah, QAnon is all the way true. The earth is flat. The moon landing wasn't real. Like, I can see it being the beginning of like a conspiracy spiral for people.
Yes, but this isn't a conspiracy. This has evidence. This happened. Like, it's not a conspiracy theory. It is a conspiracy that happened. It's not a theory, right?
Yeah.
And I, quite frankly, feel like most conspiracy theorists are probably right. Uh, like, like outside of, I mean, I will never speak on QAnon. I don't know. I don't understand any of that perspective. It's not information I seek out or know anything about. So I'm separating that a little bit. But in terms of other kind of like CIA, like conspiracy theories, I'm a believer of many of them. Because there's, yeah, I mean, it's sort of a playbook, right? Like anytime there is a grassroots movement against a powerful force, there is going to be that counterintelligence or sort of like a counter effort to try to take down that movement. This is a wild example of that in our current lifetime.
Yeah, this is a really big one. And we had an investigative journalist on the show a few months back, and she talked about why it's so important because it brings things to light that people otherwise wouldn't know. And I feel like this is one of them. Like, because of Guardian's reporting, this social network got shut down. And I mean, like, kind of the damage has been done. They're out there now, they're connected and they know each other, but it's pretty amazing the things that we can do when people have access to information.
Yeah, I mean, right. And that, like, the power of investigative journalism, I think, is pretty exciting to see here that, through uncovering this, it has stopped the progression, seemingly. It's wild that they were doing something so kind of, yes, it was a private social network, but still it feels a bit overt. Like, why did it have to be done in such a way? Why brand it? What is this V-Fluence? Like, that seems strange to me. If they were like,
what does the V stand for? Do you know? I don't know.
No, I didn't see.
I'm gonna see
that documented anywhere. Things did come up when I Googled V-Fluence, but it was hard to sort of pinpoint. V-Fluence.com is the first thing that shows up for me.
Oh.
But I don't know if this is the same thing. It's hard to say if this is the same company. I don't think a company that was operating under wraps like that would just have like a .com. I'm not sure. Oh, it's a terrible website. Like, it is a really bad, very outdated design. Looks like it was created in copyright 2015. So this is a company that's been around for a while. It does say Washington, D.C., which is an interesting connection. I don't know. It is entirely possible. It's the same.
I feel like it could be.
I mean,
they provide strategic counsel grounded in comprehensive research, ongoing issues, intelligence, in-depth stakeholder analysis.
Yeah, their expertise page is pretty damning.
This is it. I think we found it.
If we ain't on the list already, we are now.
I'm pretty sure. I mean...
Oh, yeah. It's a list I'm proud to be on. I don't care. Like,
could I actually have that list so I could make some new, like, connections myself? I'd love that list to get some leads for branding.
That's what I was going to say. Yes. Talk about a good leads list, right? In terms of, folks we can work with. Those are our people right there, right? But...
advocates against GMOs and foodborne illness and that want truth in the food and agriculture business, like,
right, that's our bag. That we love them. So it's concerning, certainly, to see. But I mean, like you said, I think it's sort of the gateway drug into thinking of other conspiracy theories and falling down that rabbit hole a bit, because it's sort of like, okay, if Guardian could find this, like, what else are they not finding?
It's just a vfluence.com, like, it's here. So what doesn't have a website?
Right. There's a lot more happening on, like, secure, like, databases and servers where I would think that, that's where this sort of thing is happening. So as for why they decided to consider it sort of a private social network it's curious to me.
Maybe you have to be. I don't even see it as a social network. So
right. Well, yeah. So that's how these articles have described it. But we don't have any actual evidence.
So how would we get into this list?
Right.
How
What's
would
the
we?
interface that somebody's logging into that's like seeing this information? Right. There's no, they haven't certainly released that. It doesn't seem like yet, but pretty strange. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens with that. I don't know. It doesn't sound like there's anything that like criminal happening there. It was just sort of like a weird thing, and through the reporting, they've sort of stopped doing.
They maybe.
Question mark.
Like their list went somewhere else, but I think like there's some reporting on it that, you know, they're like collecting dossiers on journalists and like people writing and like, you know, deep government files and stuff on people, because it is US government funded too. So I can imagine that like if I was hiring somebody, you know, from Monsanto or like, you know, gonna go somewhere and these people are gonna be like, it can mess with people's jobs and their careers. They can get them, you know, blacklisted. And a lot of it, I think, is just like, now we're going to take one of our social media or like big influencers and shit talk on these other people and make them seem crazy because, you know, like it's kind of just a way to know who they can attack in the court of public opinion.
It's wild. Yeah, it's wild that a business has a whole, you know, section of folks that are kind of working on that. Right? Like that's, I don't even want to call it a business. It's like it's a different type of entity.
The conglomerate doesn't cover it. It's like what's the word for that?
I don't know. Yeah, there should be a new term for like a corporation, but like just this like gross entity, like the Blob, you know, that old school movie that's just like it envelops everything, and it like its only purpose is to just be, it's like a cancer cell, truthfully.
It is. I was kind of thinking about like Star Wars.
Okay.
The Empire. I can't remember what their ship is called.
The Death Star?
Yep. Okay. It's like a Death Star.
Kind of, yeah.
But the Blob is a better.
My mind just went to this like gross, like nebulous sort of thing that somehow is still like an entity that it operates as a business, I guess, but is generally just like doing gross things.
Doing bad, yeah. They just do. That's why I was thinking about the Death Star and the Empire, because it's just a big maze of bad coming at you.
Yeah, it's pretty strange. But I mean, but exciting to see that they've essentially halted operations, at least on this current project.
Yeah.
In its current capacity. And we'll see where the story goes there.
They went to like circle.com and now they just have like their own social network on there.
They just went back to the Facebook group. You know, it's just a Facebook group.
Yeah.
The Discord server.
It started as a Facebook group. I kind of see like it kind of feels like a Facebook group would be really fitting for this group of people, because Facebook is definitely part of the Death Star at this point.
Yeah, I feel like that's quite likely like the testing grounds for a lot of this sort of communication is on kind of both sides, I would say, perhaps. But like, that would definitely make sense to me, that utilizing some groups to kind of, test out how they can spin the story.
The fact that it actively exists to downplay pesticide dangers, like the other stuff, okay, there's full-on discrediting, like defamation bullshit going on all the time. It's the internet. But to downplay the dangers of pesticides and treat people like they're crazy, undermine policymaking against this danger, against people, and it's funded by the US government, that pisses me off. Like, yeah.
Yeah, government-funded gaslighting.
That's exactly right. Like, we didn't need more of that. Now I just, like, government-funded gaslighting. Yeah.
That's the title of the episode. Because that's what it feels like right now. So yeah, that's certainly what it feels like.
Yeah. Well, at least this is one level of government-funded gaslighting that has been called out and shut down.
But maybe there's got to be some sort of like criminal recourse there though, because there are class action lawsuits around the health and safety factors around their products. Like, I don't understand how that.
I mean,
both of those things can. I don't. Yeah.
This first news hit in September of last year, and the article that said that where it's being shut down just came out in February. So I kind of think you're right. Like, I think that we're still this is something we should just keep watching, keep an eye on, because I feel like we're gonna start seeing some of this stuff come out if the lists come out. Because I wouldn't know how to access that. I wouldn't know how to get, but who knows what kind of information. Somewhere in some part of the world, there's a man in a smelly room just sifting hours through like information that is on this website looking for something damning. Investigative journalists don't stop. So they'll find something. That's my version of optimism. It's like somebody is toiling away to deal with it. We'll help you if you want help, just so you know. Whoever you are, thank you for what you did, and we will help you if you need it.
Yeah, I mean, we need those people because, quite frankly, I feel like it's not necessarily a person who's perusing the internet to put things on this database. It's likely AI.
Maybe at this point, but this has been going on for so long. It's like a pre-AI thing.
Yeah, it is curious though what their thresholds are and stuff. How do you get on the list? What are the criteria? Right. Is it just a one-time mention? I'd love to know someday.
Yeah. Hey, if you make these lists and you watch our podcast, or you like found the list and you know how to get into it, send us an email at info@dandelionbranding.com, because we would love to have you on the show and ask you a lot of questions about what's going on with this V-Fluence list. So
it's good. Yeah, why not? Just put it out there, right? I'm told V-Fluence employees, we are here for you. You can be anonymous, right? We don't have to show you, right?
Yeah. Ooh, we can get a voice modulator thingy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool.
Right. We can get your safety matters to us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. V-Fluence.
Yeah, and speaking of pesticides that are killing out all the bees, pollinators in the world, there are robot bees being developed right now for pollination. But the reality is that at least a third of the crops we consume have to be pollinated by something. But like, bees are dying, pollinators are dying at a crazy rate, especially where pesticides and fertilizers are used.
Thanks, Monsanto.
Thanks, Monsanto. So the United Press International reported on these, they're calling them micro-aerial vehicles, but actually they're just fucking robot bees, and they're like getting more and more agile to like pollinate things, starting with especially these vertical indoor gardens, which admittedly, like, don't put bees in your indoor garden,
Yeah, so that's a no-go, right? Well, if it's inside, if it's purely indoors, and
if it's like a vertical inside garden,
right,
then it's a little weird. So that's what they say they're developing this for. On the same, in the same article, pollinators are dying at an alarming rate. We developed this for inside gardens, and it's like, I don't trust that. I think people are really concerned about, we need to keep our food happy. We need to keep growing food, and people are definitely gonna try to build robot bees before they ever try to just plant wildflowers. I don't know why that is, but
it feels very dystopian, quite frankly. Yeah, right. Because like there is a much more affordable solution, which is just supporting the health of bees.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the same breath, though, as climate change progresses, I think that some parts of where we're growing our food are going to be more and more impacted. So leaning more on options like indoor or vertical gardening, like, is going to be something that we'll have to do in larger and larger scales. So it's it's a very weird technology, but it's the alternative is like manually someone going in and manually pollinating.
And that's really expensive and super time consuming. And there
are some plants that I think vanilla is one that
I was going to say, I think we spoke with somebody that does vanilla needs to be pollinated by hand.
Right, and that's like why it's as expensive as it is. Like real vanilla.
Real vanilla is super expensive because somebody actually was going around with a Q-tip, like
right. So I mean, it's wild that's the option that they're choosing, I suppose. But I mean, without any like more funding for research for other alternatives, it seems like, okay, well, we know bees do this. Bees are no longer alive. We must figure out a thing that does exactly what bees do. Like, rather than maybe like trying to approach the situation differently. I don't know.
One issue, we kind of touched on it in our last news episode, is that we're only ever talking about honeybees when we talk about pollinators. That's like the thing that people think about. Oh, honeybees. But it's like flies and wasps and beetles and solitary bees and dragonflies. Like, there's pollinators and all sorts of different types of animals.
Yeah.
And when we only think about honeybees as a solution, and then, honeybees aren't native everywhere. We take them places and expect them to perform, and they can't because they are not native there. But every place has its own native pollinator that we should just take care of and support the health of, and we don't do that. We just sink money into being like, let's create a fake honeybee that doesn't need to worry about its environment. I think that's weird.
That is weird. No, thank you for saying that. That was essentially what I was getting at, is sort of like, we're trying to like figure out this solution in such a specific scenario, but like, right, that's not taking into consideration other species that could be pollinators that actually might be able to thrive in an indoor situation. Like, why couldn't a moth, a fly, a butterfly or something like why couldn't that work? I mean, maybe they don't like work as hard as a bee, right? Like, as bees.
Yeah, but maybe I can buy and breed so many beetles and butterflies and moths and flies for way less than it costs to develop this robot bee technology. So if we're talking about like a cost situation instead of a natural solution, I just don't see the use case for it, except for that people want to make robot bees. Like, it has been part of science fiction for so long. There's a Black Mirror episode actually about robot bees.
Okay.
It's freaky, but I recommend watching it because Black Mirror is kind of about, building technology for technology's sake and what can go wrong there. And I think they do a really good job of making it absolutely terrifying and terrifyingly clear that robot bees are not a good idea.
Wow, I didn't know there was an episode on that. I had to sort of stop watching that show.
Me too, because it freaked me out. I think that's the last one I watched, actually.
Yeah, but that is, I definitely want to check that out. Oh my gosh. Because my immediate reaction was like, oof, that's dystopian, to hearing this article, to seeing it, and it's like, that is so strange. Okay, I want to believe that it's scientists that are just like, we really need this, let's develop this, but I actually think it's probably not. It's probably just like, wouldn't it be cool if we did?
Yeah. Technology for technology's sake.
Yeah.
Kind of. And just like interest, like scientists, I love scientists, but scientists and engineers, they just sort of get a quandary and then just like keep going at it. Like I married an engineer and he like if you give him a thing to do, he comes up with a perfectly good solution to something, but then he optimizes it and then he optimizes it and then it becomes the project becomes just like I'm just doing the project. I got to keep making the project better and cooler, and it's like, okay, but we solved the problem like in V2 or V1. So now we're on V6 and it's like very cool, but actually I was good a while back. So like when you have, I think it's that. I think it's like science fiction robot bees. Can we actually do that? We have drones. Let's make it really cool. Drones can swarm, like bees can swarm. And then it just spirals forward. And now that's what we got. Yeah. That robot bee episode is called Hated in the Nation. And it's the 6th episode, the last episode in the 3rd series.
Season 3, episode 6.
Yeah. Season 3, episode 6. Hated in the Nation.
This is a new article though. So this is from February 4th from EPI.com. So
in general, yeah, so they've spent like I think years. Oh, they're calling it the Robo Bee. They've spent years on it and they're just trying to make it fly longer. But this is what I mean by the optimizing over and over again every piece. They're like, can we make it fly longer? Can we make it weigh less? Can we get it more agile so that it can do the thing that bees do? And
right. Can we get to the same conclusion of pollinating the plants without having to meet those exact circumstances so that this robot is a bee substitute? Like, at what point can we, like, just, does that matter?
Hate to be that hippie, but like, can we trust that nature can do it? At what point are we going to look around and say we're on a planet that has a solution here and we should support those solutions?
I don't have an answer to that. I think that's not how human nature is. We currently exist in a society that thinks we're sort of above nature and can exist and can transcend it through technology. Which
pretty over that
will be I think it's a bad move as well. But it certainly seems that way. So I don't know.
Yeah.
No. And it's weird. I don't want to get too political, but it is weird that you have to sort of at least I feel like I have to sort of make decisions on like where's your line, I guess, in terms of where you stand up and when you're facing kind of any sort of oppression. I think more than ever we're seeing Americans sort of realize that like they need to also have that thought process.
I think that we are seeing not just in America but everywhere. America is a really big one right now. The United States, I shouldn't say America, but obviously like the transition to this government is bringing that. But I think we're seeing people cross the line and recognize that we need to stand up and we can't always be safe, because it's rapidly becoming clear that safety has to kind of be secondary to progress in some ways, and that's really scary. But if we're going to move forward, we have to think about like what's best for the future, and am I going to be in danger if I take that step? And if you are, and you are making that choice to stand up in the face of danger and in the face of your oppressors, then you're brave and good job, and don't stop fighting.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to be on a list, because that means you're standing up for something, right? Like, that means you have morals, principles, something that you believe is worth fighting for, right? So wear it as a badge of honor, kind of a thing, But it's risky. Yeah, no, it's scary. It's scary that they're but that is the reality that we're in right now. Yes. If you are a listener, a watcher of this podcast, then we appreciate you. You're fighting a good fight. as well. And if you found us, then you're probably already have done some searching and things.
Yeah.
So like, right, you're
already there, man. Great job.
Oh. Are on the right side. We're on the right side of history, though. So thank you for being here with us.
Yeah. Thank you. And let us know in the comments what you think about robot bees and secret societies. Otherwise, I think we'll see you next time.